You know, so what is when I say coolness, what is it to you guys? First of all, I just want to get your like ideas of what it is. And I know I had like an idea of what you thought it was before, but you did say before we recorded that your mind had kind of changed on what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what coolness really means no more. Like I can't. You're gonna have to remind me of what I used to think.
I think
cool means.
Well,
now, like I'm not sure. Like I used to look at certain people and think like they're cool, and then like,
wait, who did you look at and think that they were cool?
From there, I could figure out what I thought was cool, and yeah, like Andre
3000 is cool though.
Like Kanye and like Pharrell, like other
Pharrell's
people like
cool.
that. And I would still say like obviously I would still say they're cool, but they're not as much of a like I don't know. I don't feel the same way now that I did before.
So you're not as like awestruck by them now.
I guess in a way, yeah.
So I think like when we first,
I'm not sure exactly why that is.
I feel like when we used to talk about it, we used to talk about it in the sense that like coolness is kind of the extent to which the external you matches your internal values, right?
Yeah, but then was like Hitler cool then?
This is starting off sort of controversial.
That's another direction.
But that is a good question. I guess the values that you manifest, they have to be, and this kind of takes us into a different direction, but they have to be right or they have to be good.
So
right?
like virtuous.
Yeah, they have to be virtuous. Whatever values that you manifest have to be virtuous, I guess.
So can you be a cool person and be a dick at the same time?
I don't think so.
You don't reckon?
I don't think so. I haven't come across too many.
But how about like Kanye then? Because he's like technically a bit of a dick though. It's
I
not
don't think he's a dick.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's a dick.
I think some people perceive him as a dick. Like there's a very big population.
Yeah, but coolness isn't like an objective like construct either. I think coolness is based on what you think is cool.
But then you're sort of postulating that it's not objective. You can't objectively be cool.
No,
you're just perceived as being cool. By
yeah, I don't think you can be objectively cool. But I'm saying when people say that person is cool, or not even a person, because we talk about like just things as being cool as well. So when we say something is cool, what does that really mean? I think that was the question that we initially came up with.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of still stick by what we said it was before, like about your internal values kind of matching what you show to people.
As long as those values are moral.
I kind of just thought about that on the spot. I don't know if that's true. I'd have to think about it even more. But I actually asked my sister the same question, like, what does she think is coolness? And she came up with an equation, right?
Okay.
She said I have an equation for what coolness is. And she said the equation is confidence plus authenticity, right? But confidence not in the sense of being like an extrovert, but confidence in what your values are. So like when you see like Andre 3000 or Pharrell or whoever like wearing all of that wacky shit that they wear, like you can tell that they have confidence that this is how you're supposed to be dressing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's confidence in what they're doing, matching authenticity.
But I think there's a similar like what so those examples came up because that's what like I used to think was cool back in the day.
Yeah.
That's what I was discussing.
Yeah.
I think there's like a similar thread. I guess obviously because I found them three cool.
Yeah.
It would make sense. But there's a similar thread along all three, if that makes sense. They don't represent the same thing, but they represent similar things. Those three particular people, and I think that's what's cool because it was their attitude,
Similar things.
the way they displayed themselves and carried themselves in relation to the world at that time, maybe a few years ago, whatever. So maybe that's why I don't find them as interested now because I'm not really sure what they're on.
Who do you think is cool now?
I don't know.
You don't think anyone's cool?
Not really. Like
Not really.
who do you think is cool? Like
Who do I think is cool?
Like who do you look at? That's a cool person. Like
What
Like
in
this-
like any industry? Like
yeah, anything. I mean, there's
Barack Obama's cool. Like, he's cool, man. Like I would like to be friends
Yeah,
with
I
Barack
think
Obama. Like, he's cool. Like he's cool as fuck, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not be a nice person, but he's cool.
But I feel like I don't really know the real Barack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like he but that's another thing as well. Like
it's kind of like a polished.
Exactly. Like
so
a person can be perceived as being cool, right? But that might not be them, right? It's all about, again, you said subjectivity, right?
Yeah.
It's not. He's not
but
objectively cool.
For me, it would be something that I find cool is the fact that what they're presenting is the real them or whatever.
Yeah, but that's I feel like maybe there's like, okay, maybe like there's a difference. So is there a kind of cool that's not authentic, as in like it's not from internally, like how we perceive them? Because I mean, we learn a lot more about these artists and whatever through like media and screens and things like that, right? So like technically we don't really know what they're like.
Yeah, I was about to say,
you have to get that feeling though of seeing them.
But it's the presentation though. It's more the presentation than the person.
You do when you this is the thing. Like, I don't think everyone can. Maybe everyone has the capacity to achieve coolness, but I think that everyone can perceive coolness. I think everyone knows who is cool and who isn't. I think everyone can tell. I think everyone can tell when you're being the real you or not, right? Just by looking at you. Because this is another thing. Like, because people might be saying like, why attack coolness from like this in this way anyways? Like, why does it have to be like an abstract thing? Like, if you take, I don't know, like Andre 3000's clothes and you put it on like an Andre 3000 clone, right?
Yeah.
That clone might not be. There might be something off about him that doesn't seem cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the same way when you see people try and copy, well, I don't know what ASAP wears, and it doesn't look right on them. That must mean that there's something abstract, like that comes into that.
But are there artists out there that aren't, or people out there that aren't cool? Who aren't being real or whatever?
Yeah.
There are. Yeah. They have fans, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But do they have fans because they think they're cool, or just because they like their music or whatever?
I guess like, both. I don't know if you can like someone's music without thinking they're cool, to some extent.
I don't think that's true. I think I like a lot of music from artists that I think are like.
But I feel like
really
that's
cool.
different though, because now you're talking about like an artist in comparison to like the art itself. You know what I mean? Like, you can look at a piece of art and be like, oh yeah, I like this piece of art, right?
Yeah.
But then if you found out that the person who makes that piece of art is like maybe like a Nazi, or something, it might.
Yeah, I was thinking more about like actual fans who like think the person is cool. I can't think of any examples though.
Yeah, but I think like it's a lot like, okay, I'll give you an example, right? Before like Sam Smith like blew up, right? Yeah. I used to listen to some of his shit on SoundCloud. Sam Smith.
I think I know who's on there.
Yeah. The singer, dude, like he's really big.
he's like the male Adele.
Yeah, basically, yeah, he is the male Adele. Like basically, him and okay, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but basically, he is the male version of like Adele, like really soulful singer, right?
Yeah.
And this is the funny thing as well, is like when I used to listen to Sam Smith's music, right? Based off like he's a quite churchy, choiry kind of voice, right? Very like soulful, like Black South American kind of voice, right? I used to perceive him as a black person, right?
Yeah.
And then when I saw him the first time, I was like, whoa, this is Sam Smith?
Yeah.
And that was when he was like even chubby back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of became like, okay, this guy is like has some great art, as in the work that he puts out is like fucking awesome. But I didn't think Sam Smith was cool. I thought he was like a chubby dude who can sing really well.
Yeah, I don't think you need to like someone's music to think that they're cool. But
that's my own experience, and that's like a subjective experience. So like, but I think like there's certain people that are, I think maybe coolness is something quite similar to like almost like a wanting to, like you want to feel like you want to get to know them, like you want to befriend them. You know, I think that's kind of coolness. You know, it's like approachability, or you know, like this is the kind of person where if I was on a night out, I would like him to be my gang. You know, because he would just like. We would have a good time.
But does that mean that whoever you find cool, they need to kind of align with the same things that you find cool?
Not necessarily, but like
I can think of like a lot of cool people who I don't really want to hang out with. I just think that they're
like
cool.
Okay, let's put it like this. Would you want to have a conversation with them?
Yeah, maybe
a non-superficial conversation. You would, right?
Yeah.
But so with so many other people, right? And that's why kind of like I guess in a sense like people pay maybe, I don't know, for passes to see artists after events and things like that, you know, just to get cameos and things like that, you know.
Do you think, kind of taking it away from like the artist realm and taking it to the real world, do you think most people are cool? Or do you think most people are not cool?
I think everybody's cool in their own way, but like they don't resonate with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's kind of got their own quirks about them.
See, I think that I think there's a shortage of cool people. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's...
Yeah, but like I feel like you're looking at it from a certain perspective, right? Like,
well, like taking it back to, because I do kind of agree with what my sister's equation was. Like,
but that equation, right?
Yeah.
Is quite erroneous. Like, because when you look at it, right, you can't quantify the two things.
No. Of course you can't quantify it. It's like a very loose. It's not like it's very loose.
Well, like I can understand that there's like maybe like certain things at play, right? But in a sense, like I think like, okay, for example, right, you know hipsters, right? Hipsters, in my personal opinion, are probably quite cool, right?
Right.
I just know no hipsters. Like I don't talk like none of my friends are hipsters.
Right.
Like, you know, the kind of people who wear like, I don't know,
all like the hype beast clothing.
Yeah, and
Supreme
like Supreme and shit like that, and like people who grow like massive beards and shit like that, like you know the classic hipster look and all that. Like, I respect those people.
What, you think they're cool?
I think in a certain way they seem cool. Do you not think they're cool? Do you don't think hipsters are cool? I'm posing a question to you because you're quiet.
I don't know what hipsters are.
You don't know what a hipster is? Come on, bro.
What a hipster is
really,
like? Isn't like a hipster supposed to be like someone who's just like freezing into the trends? Yeah.
Yeah, but in a sense, like there's certain types of hipster, like now, or like that's quite hipster. You know what I mean? Because like I think there's tiers of hipsters, right?
Yeah.
There's like
yeah.
Like you can be a hipster, but then be like really, really like sharp about the trends, where like you kind of perceive trends before they even happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing about being hipster. It's like in a way, being hipster is kind of like being close to like certain type of coolness.
Wait, but I always thought that hipster was kind of like used in like a
like following the trends.
No, like not to be like, it wasn't a good term. Like, it wasn't a good thing to be called a hipster.
No, but I think that's just within a certain context. People who called hipster was seen as a certain kind of way. But like, I mean, okay, think about it. Like, you know, like places like Shoreditch and things like that, right? Those are very hipster places. Like they're classified as
where
hipster.
we are now
In Camden, Camden is a very hipster place.
Yeah.
So like, but those are perceived as very interesting, cool, quirky areas, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but that's why like going back to the equation. I think when you think about places like that, like Shoreditch, Camden, like you think about it because the people that like come to these places are so confident in what they're doing. You can't tell them that they're wrong. Like I see a lot of people outside who dress like crazy. But if I went up to them, I'm like, you're dressing like a weirdo. They'd be like, nah, like you can't tell me anything because I'm so confident in what I'm doing. Yeah. Right. And then you have the authenticity part. Like I think a lot of these people who come to these areas are like being true to how they actually feel. You know, I feel like that's when you look at like hipsters, like for example, not all hipsters, but when you say to someone, "Oh, you're a hipster," but in a bad way, it's kind of because they have confidence in what they're doing and how they're manifesting their values and everything, but those aren't actually their values. They fail on the authenticity part.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where most people fail. I think most people are very confident in what they're doing, very confident in how they portray themselves, but no one's really being authentic to how they
being authentic is like, I think like the thing is we live in like a capitalistic I don't know how to describe it, but I think like we live in like a market economy where like basically you are told that you can buy the things that are you, right? That's how like society runs, you know. You think like a certain pair of shoes is the kind of thing that suits you, because when you really look at it, like, okay, think of like places like Zara or whatever, right? You see like mannequins, things like that, but you also see people, like, you know, it's a big thing, isn't it? You have like lots of models wear stuff online, right? You look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that's me, I think I would look good in that, right? So like in a way, we consistently just project ourselves into like other images of other people that we see. Like, it's hard. I mean, I don't know what it would be like to kind of make your sort of persona, you know, yourself, without actually like seeing, like, you know,
No,
you know,
but I
somebody
think
else.
What's
Like,
what's authentic?
like, what would be authentic?
Like,
you know?
being, I guess, just being true to your values and your morals, being true to that. Like, I don't really know how to, like.
But how many people do you think are aware of their own like morals and values?
And that's where I was going. That's where I was going next. I think after
Like,
my sister kind of gave me this equation, I said that I think there's another bit missing, and that is kind of like the self-actualization part. I think that needs to be included. I think that might be where a lot of people fail. They don't even know what their morals actually are, because they're just following what they see. They're told to feel a certain way, so they just feel it. They don't take any time to kind of just sit down and process how they feel. They just, like, they're told to do it, so they do it. Right? I think that's where a lot of people, so like going back to what you said about how many people actually like kind of take time to
like
realize,
process and really think about the kind of people that they are.
Very little, honestly. I think very little people are able to do that.
Yeah, but like
I think it takes time to develop into someone, like you mentioned, self-actualizing. Like, to become a person who is in line with the morals that you might have.
It takes time. I do think it. I think it takes time.
Maybe that's the important part of being cool, because like you have to develop into someone who follows your own morals. Like you can't do that straight away because it's scary or whatever.
But then also another thing as well is that we are kind of talking within a certain context, right? Like, we all come from like our own sort of like backgrounds and everything like that, and we've gone through a certain system and all that, right? But like, you know, we don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what it would have been like. What it would be like if you were an upper class individual, right? Where you were like, you know, you went to public school, you know, you had tutors, you study like, I don't know, like classical poetry and shit like that, Latin, right? Like, do you think in a certain way? Like, do you kind of become a different kind of person? Like, do you perceive the world differently, right? Because like, you know, we go through like a different education system as well. And I think like that's another thing as well, like what you're saying, right? If you're taught to look at the world in a certain view, and that's what you've been taught since you were like 4, 3, whatever, right? What kind of person do you become at the end of that trip, right? Compared to like a person who is told, right, from the get-go that they are, you know, the self-determining factor in the world, you know, like, you know, like they're given all these things and all these tools, you know, to succeed and navigate in the world. Because I mean, like, now you just have to look at like the Conservative Party and see
that's just a good. That's why Michael is here. Michael, you're here to like make the podcast a little bit more mature than it actually is. Because I'm not going to talk about that shit. Only because I'm learning with the people, like, through you.
No, but like,
to them,
as you were
to people that come from
like Oxbridge elitist Eton going schools,
whatever, yeah. I don't even know if a them exists, but whatever, people that are in that culture.
Oh, but they
would have their own concept of cool, which is different to maybe
exactly
what ours is or something.
Exactly. Because ours, like, and that's another thing as well, right? I think like when we look at cool, we think of the like kind of counterculture, you know, the kind of people who break the social norms, right?
Not necessarily.
Not always. I think that's
but
for me at least that's changing.
But I mean, I think it's like in terms of like the elites, right? I mean, Andre 3000, Pharrell, that's not really the kind of person that I expect like Theresa May to be going to concerts to go see, that, you know. But that's what I mean. Like I don't feel like.
But I also think Einstein was cool. Maybe. That's...
Yeah, I was about to say I do think that there are some people that I see who kind of fall into that category. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, they're cool. They're cool people.
Yeah. Well, I think there's even a similar thread between Einstein and Andre 3000 and Kanye and Pharrell. Because I think.
But don't you think Einstein is closer to like our side in terms of the culture? Like, he's more us than he is, you know, aristocratic elite, Oxbridge going, blah blah blah. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, there's probably aristocratic people in the past or now that I would think is cool if I met them or knew. Yeah. I can't think of an example now, but there's probably there probably is one.
I don't know. I'm very. I don't know how to feel about necessarily like those kinds of people, because I feel like
I don't think there is those kinds of people.
Yeah.
I feel like
No,
I
no,
feel
well,
like
I
I
get
feel
what
like
you're saying.
Yeah, no,
there is because like in a sense, right? I feel like the big thing about politicians, right, is that politicians, I find them quite interesting because in a sense, right, they play a game with us, right? Because they try to act like they're one of us, right?
Right.
Like that's the thing. Like most politicians, like especially like, you know, Boris Johnson, all these chaps, Nigel Farage, like whatever, right? They are the I'm gonna go down and have a pint kind of person, right? Because
Right.
I believe like I'm one of the common people. They're not. They're really not, right? But they're playing a game. Like it's for them, they're a character in a massive play, right? And I think that the fact that they have to sort of pretend to be one of us and kind of create that persona is in itself like the stating factor to say that they are within a certain culture that we don't completely understand.
I get what you're saying there. Yeah, I do.
And you know, it's like the subtleties, isn't it? It's about, it's not even about what they say or what they do. It's like sort of the upbringing and knowing who's who kind of thing. You know,
Those people in a culture that we don't understand.
like who?
Like Gucci Mane is in a culture that I don't fully understand.
Yeah.
I don't see what your whole point was though about them being in a different culture.
I'm talking about like more of in a sense of like it's harder to, okay, would you say that it's harder to align yourself with somebody like Theresa May than it is with somebody like Gucci Mane? Like you can understand like what Gucci Mane's
I
music
think
is.
it's equally as hard with
Yeah,
both.
I think
Really?
yeah, for me too.
Really?
I think you just have like a healthy
Maybe I'm biased.
you have a skepticism about
Well, I'm very cynical about
yeah.
you know.
You know what?
political
Like
leaders.
you know what? I've just decided this right now. Every podcast we're gonna give you 10 minutes, and we're gonna dedicate 10 minutes for Michael to just chat shit about
About politics.
every podcast we're gonna dedicate 10 minutes to that. But
Yeah.
you said that you find like some similarity in Einstein and Audrey 3000, and in what sense? Is it in the sense that they represent like some type of authenticity? Because obviously they don't represent the same culture per se.
Yeah, but it represents something similar in terms of, I don't know what it's called, but is it like being progressive? Is it like being?
I think being progressive
creative
in itself.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like pushing things forward. I can't remember. It is being progressive.
It is
like-
being progressive,
yeah.
yeah. Being progressive is, but don't you
But
think
it's
that
not
maybe
the
that's
same.
because you're quite like a liberal person? You're not a conservative elite.
Since when am I liberal? Wait, what?
Because most people who are liberal are quite progressive. Like if you kind of think of yourself in terms of like your political alignment,
Why,
like would you be opposed to gay marriage? Let's just say put it there. Like I know that's a heavy question to ask.
No.
You wouldn't be, right? Like, but that's the kind of thing. Like you know, like certain
I haven't really
things.
thought about it. I don't know.
Yeah, but like, would you be though?
I need to think
Okay.
about it.
Michael, your 10 minutes is your 10
Right.
minutes is done.
Okay, but what I'm saying is like also at the same time, right? Like okay, for example, there's this argument that people who are quite creative, right,
Yeah.
are sort of the liberal progressives,
Yeah.
as opposed to like conservative people, because it's like there's certain characteristics in how you perceive the world as well.
Yeah.
So for example, like we're talking about, you know,
What's liberal though?
liberal is like it's more of an optimistic thought. Like you don't see the world as facts and things and there's all these limitations. You kind of see the world as more of like open. Like you can kind of like impose your will on the world. That tends to be like the liberal mindset of the world.
That's liberal.
That's liberal.
You
Well-
can impose yourself on the. I don't know. I don't fully understand what like a liberal person.
Okay.
What liberal values are, or what a liberal person is. and blah, blah,
Progressive, basically, they're progressives. If you normally think of like liberals, you normally think of progressives, kind of venturing out, doing more.
blah. I get you, but I don't know why you have to you have to tie the two together. Like
do you mean?
we can just leave progressive. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I get
Right.
what you're saying. Like, why do they have to be synonymous? But again, I don't want to turn this into a political debate
Mhm.
because there's a bunch of platforms that people could go to talk about that. Your next 10 minutes is coming in the next week, the next podcast. But what was we? what was
So
the
you
question
were
that-
saying like
What was the
you were
question
saying
that
like
sorry?
Einstein.
I don't know.
Einstein's
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah,
progressive. Yeah, you were saying like you don't know whether or not Einstein is like it's the progressive side of him that like makes him cool.
Yeah, I think that is partly what made him cool. Yeah, the
Mhm.
progressive side of him. Yeah, but I don't know that much about Einstein. But just off.
But progressive
the
in
bit
what
that
way?
I know,
Like what he did, or like
his general attitude to the way things were at the time.
Like
yeah.
challenging conventions.
In a way, yeah. But it wasn't just rebelling and leaving it because he was still a physicist. Like he still operated within
In that realm.
Yeah, but he was able to balance the both. That's why I wasn't so comfortable with the liberal thing, because it's like a balance between. Maybe if it was completely liberal, he would just leave and do physics by himself.
Yeah.
Maybe if he wasn't fucking with the way they were doing physics at the time. But like he kind of still operated within that realm. So it's kind of a balance. He was progressive.
He was progressive, but within the system, within the construct,
Yeah, in a way,
within
I guess.
mathematics.
Yeah.
To digress a little bit, and kind of take it off other people. Do you guys think that you've reached like peak coolness?
No, I'm on my way. Though.
I don't even know what that would be like, man. Peak coolness.
Have you reached peak coolness?
You know what? I this is another thing that I'm thinking, right? Like, do you think like, can you reach peak coolness and just be like yourself?
And just be yourself.
Yeah, just be like an
What
individual.
does being yourself mean? That's the question. Like,
No, but like, no. I mean it like just be on your ones. Like that's what I mean. Do you think like, because you know, like, okay, for example, like fame. Let's just use like the example of fame, right?
Yeah.
Fame is not something that's like inherent to an individual. It's something that other individuals give to you,
Yeah.
right? So like, in a sense, we were talking about subjectivity and coolness,
that's
right?
a good point.
So is coolness something that other people give to you? And can you be cool, like perceived as like peak coolness, if you don't have like a fucking mob of people who think you're cool?
No, I don't think it's something. Because you can feel like I don't know if this might be like a wild assumption, but I feel like you can feel corny by yourself. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, but then are you
corny by yourself?
That's because you've developed in the society
yeah.
and you've learned what corny behaviours are based off what you've seen other people do. So it's like, no, I don't think you can be cool by yourself. In a way, you can, if you're sitting by yourself, feel like you're cool, but you need society in order to develop into the person you become. So, in a way, yeah, but in a way, no.
Like I'm kind of with that. It's like, at which point is like a person cool enough? You know what I mean?
At which point? So wait, are you saying does someone ever get to like a point of being cool where they just like stop pursuing it?
No. No. Like I think what I kind of mean is like, okay, imagine, right? Like we're all kind of cool in a sense because we're all people, right? Like let's just say like we're all cool because we've kind of got our individual attitudes, behaviors, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? But we recognize that there's some people who are like legitimately cool, right? Like this person is cool, and probably quite a few people think that they're cool as well, right? So if they aren't those people also thinking that person is cool, how do we know that person is really cool? I mean, if you're the only one guy who thinks that guy is cool, like it just like it.
I get what you're
it's
saying.
like it seems a bit problematic because like when we're talking about A$AP Rocky, right? Like he's cool, but like there's thousands, if not millions, upon people who think that he's cool as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that legitimizes the fact that we can call him cool. So how do you gain legitimacy in a sense?
There's a lot of people. There's like a lot of people who people think are cool who are just aren't cool. There's like a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are cool that people kind of just like look at as.
Do you think Tupac was cool?
I think Tupac was cool.
Do you think Tupac was cool?
Cool. I mean, yeah. I guess I would say he was cool. I mean, I wasn't really. I feel like you have to kind of be there to know if someone like because I.
Okay, but don't you think that the narrative around Tupac, in a sense, makes him like one is more likely to like perceive him as cool because of the narrative that is built around Tupac. Like the fact that, you know, one, obviously, you know, you've got this entire story about him, you've got even a story about his mother, right?
Yeah.
You know, all his social action, you know, all the things that he did as well as a person. Because another thing, I think the weird thing about Tupac is that not only was he an artist, right? He had all this other stuff going on around him, which was quite interesting, especially at that time.
Yeah.
And then you kind of leave it at, oh yeah, you know, died very young, you know, premature death,
Yeah.
everything like
I feel like Tupac is kind of not to like go off on a complete tangent, real talk. But I feel like Tupac is like, for me anyways, as someone who wasn't there when he was alive, like to experience everything that was going on, people have constructed him into a myth.
Yeah,
like,
he's a martyr. He's a martyr in a way.
But that's what people have done to it. People have taken his stories and events that happened and constructed it in a way that it's a myth. Like constructed it in a way that
But some of those people might argue that this is a fact. Like, you know, the entire narrative about him is like the things that he did.
But when I say a myth, I mean like when people talk about him, he doesn't even seem like a human to me. Like when people talk about Tupac, he doesn't seem like someone who was even accessible, if that makes sense.
Do you think A$AP Rocky is accessible? Because I don't think he's accessible, and I think he's cool. Like you know what? I was actually gonna point this out. I feel like also in a sense, right? For me, coolness has this thing to do with like sort of like almost like an awe kind of thing, right? Like almost like in a sense, it's kind of like a godly kind of vibe. Like they're doing their thing, right? You could never perceive actually meeting this person.
I don't think that. I mean, I get what you're saying, like in terms of like star quality and everything, but like I think he's cool. And I don't think he's like.
Yeah, but like
he's just him, isn't it? Like I don't think I don't attach like any godly like connotation.
No, but I think I'm thinking
that's something different. I think it's something different.
Yeah.
Like how you describe A$AP as opposed to being cool. That's I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that can be like an addition. You can take someone cool and PR them into being that. but
into being like a godly myth.
So wait, do you think that this is kind of like a conversation I didn't plan, but like people like A$AP, do you think they have been PR'd into being that way?
Definitely.
Or do you think they were just that way?
I don't know. No, that's a good point. I'm not sure.
Okay, you know what? I think it kind of goes back to like sort of the rambling that we had earlier on before we started recording, right? Which is that some people are easier to get to that point. Yeah, there's something about them, right? That I think like maybe almost like a gut instinct. Like like this person, they've got the stuff.
Certain people do just kind of have that presence. Like,
yeah.
So wait, so do you think that there is anyone that exists who you can just take them as they are, throw them in front of a camera, and they'll have that star quality by themselves? Or do you
More or less,
do you think they need to be like PR and marketing?
Well, they need to be given exposure, I guess.
Yeah, but like just throw them out onto YouTube. Throw them onto Instagram.
But it's kind of like I think like remember we had that argument about like the perception of value, right? It's like I was arguing with Ed about like whether or not like a value of like, you know, good, like for example like a pair of like Yeezys, right, is inherent like in the sneaker itself, right? We're not gonna go down that route, but I'm just saying like that's just like a baseline, right? But the point is that like in a sense, right, we kind of spoke about like there's this thing and almost anyone can make a shoe, like if you go to like a manufacturer, right? But it's all the stuff that happens around the shoe that makes that shoe that price, right? Like so maybe it's like the person as well, like, you know, there might be so many people who are like cool, but like you need to do all this other stuff around them in order for them to be like that success story, you know, like A$AP or whatever. Like, because I mean I would probably think that there's probably at least a couple thousands, 100,000 A$APs out there, you know, people who but they just don't have a platform.
I don't think there are.
Think so?
No, come on. A$AP Rocky?
Dude, like, it's a massive population.
It's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people on this planet.
No, There's a lot of people.
No way. No one can do what A$AP Rocky did. No one can do what
Really?
he did.
But don't you think, like, in a sense, that's your perception?
Do you not think so?
I mean, well, explain to me what he did. Like
when he came out in 2011 or whatever.
Yeah.
No one else was doing that. No one else has achieved that same style really since then.
But he's a trendsetter, but that's different though, isn't it? Like, it's like...
No, but it's more than being a trendsetter. Like, he's a paradigm shifter. Like, it was a big deal when he came out.
Yeah.
Like, he changed the way everyone dresses. The clothes that are in Zara now wouldn't be the same if A$AP Rocky didn't come out.
But can I ask you a question?
It's a big deal, like, in terms of all the different talents he brought together, the people he brought together. Like, it's not just you can't just get some other guy that looks kind of cool and expect him to do that. Like
Yeah.
there's a certain charisma
Yeah.
that he just seems
Yeah.
to have, which
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I don't know if it's a God-given talent or whatnot, but it's
But I feel like
undeniable.
in a weird way, right? Like I think like the fact is like, because okay, like my view is kind of like also a bit like twisted here, right? Because I feel like ASAP worked really well with a lot of like interesting designers, like doing all his like modeling and all that stuff, right? And like I really do wonder whether or not like him working with the designers was more of the designers sort of like imposing what they sort of like already saw coming, yeah, and giving it to him.
I don't think
So
so
take
because
forward.
he was wearing that stuff before he was famous. And he was having meetings with designers when he was on the come up and when he hadn't made the entire shift that he made.
So maybe like he already saw the trends and then they sort of picked him up on
I
it.
think so. I mean, yeah.
Perhaps.
I think like models are picked for a reason. You can't just dress someone up in,
Oh yeah, you
outfits
can't,
and
of course.
even if they have the exact same build and whatnot. You can't just dress anyone.
But that kind of that gets to like the crux of what I'm talking about with coolness as a concept. Like you can't just, there's something abstract about it. You can't give coolness to someone. I don't
I
really.
think someone can attain coolness though.
Well, yeah, that's what I think. I remember we used to talk about this. Like, do you think that you can teach someone
To be cool.
to be cool? Yeah,
Yeah.
but then
You
how?
can. You
But,
can put someone on game. That happens all the time.
but
Like if you give someone game, then you help them.
yeah, but they have
Yeah,
to.
but like internalize it.
Yeah.
though, isn't
Yeah,
it?
they have to. Yeah, they have to get it, obviously. But
It's like
if they
in
get
a-
it, then they get it.
But-
Sometimes people just don't get it, but maybe there's a way.
Well,
something can happen in their life that will make them see.
we all said that like self-actualization comes into like
Yeah.
attaining coolness, right? You can't teach someone self-actualization. You can't teach
Yeah, you
someone
can. I
that.
think you can. I think you can.
I feel like
I think I'm optimistic about it. I think you can.
I wish Aisha was here. I'd be able to. She'd be able to talk about this. But nah, I don't know. I don't know if you can teach someone how to be themselves.
Yeah, I think you can.
But then at the same time though, like this is another thing. I feel like we're kind of doing a circle here because we're talking about like what is it to be like a person, like what is it to know like thyself, like you know that kind of thing. It's like people are very complex things, right? And even when you think you know yourself, right, are you just constructing some kind of narrative to make sense of yourself, which might even be not wholesome, you know what I mean? You might not have a full account of the person who you are, even in your
What
head.
does that mean though?
That's
Because the
what-
person who you are depends on
On what you say
to a
about
large
yourself.
To a large extent, depends on what influences you have from society and what society you're in.
Yeah, but like some okay,
I
I kind of
was gonna ask: is it possible for a cool person to get washed up if things move on and they don't?
No, I don't think so.
I hate to do it, yeah, but look at Eminem.
Was he ever really cool though? Was he ever really
Yeah,
cool?
I think he was. I
What?
think
You
he
don't
was.
think Eminem was cool?
No, but be honest. Was he ever really cool, or was he just controversial?
But
There's a difference between controversial
I
and
think
cool.
he was cool. I think he was
Wait,
cool.
okay, who's cool and has remained cool? Like, give me someone.
Andre 3000.
I don't
I don't
see him.
But
no more. I don't
that's
see him
but
no
that's what I was about to say. I don't even see him, and I think he's cool. I don't even see Andre 3000. And I think he's cool.
more. Yeah, but that's just bias, though, isn't it? Like,
But that's what. But I like. I don't know. Someone who's remained cool.
But do you think that maybe people are fed up of Eminem more than he's like not cool?
He's just.
I think he's.
You know what it is.
I
You know
hate
what
to
it is.
say it.
You know what it
I
is
hate
with
to say
Eminem.
it, but
You know what it
it's
is with
true.
Eminem. I think Eminem is just trying to. He's just trying to stick with what got him popping in the first place.
I
Yeah.
don't even think.
Yeah,
It is like
No, but if you look at the old like Dr. Dre video, forgot
Yeah.
about Dre.
Yeah.
Like to me, like he looks cool in that,
He did.
and his whole attitude was different to how it is now.
No, but he no.
Like, did
no,
you see his
it's-
interview with Sway?
No, but it's different in the sense that it was real back then. Like back then, I believe that he was just. I believe.
But back then he was controversial because society was still more naive maybe than it is now. Like now, if he made those same lyrics,
Yeah.
like it wouldn't. People would be like, yeah, we've heard that shit. Like,
I have
But
a
that's-
question.
Yeah.
Do you think
No,
that
that
coolness
actually-
then might have something to do with like youth as well?
No, because they are old cool people. They're
Right.
old cool people.
with a youthful mentality.
Yeah,
No, not even,
yeah. There's
like,
like some kind of
maybe.
childlike creativity behind them. You know what I mean?
no, like, have you not ever just had like some old wise black guy just talk to you about shit?
Yeah,
from
but
back
that's
in his day?
wise. That's not cool.
No, but I think
like,
that this person. I'm trying to think of like some Samuel Jackson. He's cool and he's old. As fuck.
nah,
Like, how old is he?
he's not cool.
You know he's.
I don't think he's cool.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
And like I feel like Samuel Jackson is funny, right? Like
Trying to
even
think of,
like
like, an
okay, for
old
example,
cool
like I used to like listen, right? I used to think Denzel Washington was cool, right? But I don't think that anymore. I think he's wise now. Yeah.
Wait, you don't think? Oh, because this was actually a question that I wrote down to ask you guys.
Yeah.
But it was kind of more to do with like children. Like, do you think that children could be cool? Like,
Yeah.
you think children could be cool, but you don't think that old people could be cool.
I think like there is something like there is a point in life where like probably like you know you're kind of on the beat, you know, like your creativity is like probably at its highest peak, right? And I think like this is probably like no like can I just say what I want to say for it? then you can like disqualify me, yeah? You can disqualify my statement. Right? I feel like if you're an artist, right? Probably the biggest thing that you're always afraid of is losing the creative spark that started you you going, right?
Yeah.
I think like that is probably like the biggest legitimate fear that any artist feels, right? And I think that creative spark, I don't know where it comes from, I don't know what it's about, right? But like it's there, right? And talking about Eminem, yeah. I feel like that's where it starts, right? You have it, and then it's like sometimes you lose it, and when you lose it, like people are like, oh, like is this the same person, like that kind of thing, like. And for me, maybe that's why I don't perceive some of these people as cool anymore. And I think like maybe coolness also has to do with like how you function and, you know, having your beat on the pulse of like society. Because again, like, you know, like for us, like you guys are talking about last time, I remember like the older podcast that we did, right? You're talking about Tyler, right?
Yeah.
And Odd Future, right? And them lot, right? And obviously within like that group, right? Those are the kinds of people who maybe like are talking about society in a certain way, whatever, like representing like the culture as it's building, right?
Yeah.
But then you can quickly imagine that those people later on aren't able to speak about the culture because they're not within it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I
but
feel
they
like
can
young
still-
people might.
But they can still be cool though, even though they're not part of the youthful culture. we
Yeah,
talk
but
about.
There will
I
still
don't.
be another lane for them to find.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Yeah, they can still made as long as they're, because this is like going back to Eminem. I don't think Eminem is growing truthfully. Like, I don't think he's honest in how he's growing. I think he's growing and he's trying to hold on to like I said, the controversial
Stuff
part
that
of the
started him
going.
up, yeah.
Yeah, but there are people that are growing and they're just like they don't care about being young. Like Dr. Dre, I would say he's still cool. I watched a documentary about him and Jimmy Iovine. I think he's very cool. And I don't know how old he is, but he's
Probably like
he's
50 or
old.
something.
Yeah, he's old, isn't it? So I don't think you have to have. You don't have to be young. You don't have to have like a youthful. type
You know
of
what?
mentality to
Funny
be
enough,
cool.
I was also thinking about Dr. Dre, but then I was like, do I actually really perceive Dr. Dre as cool? Like, is he more
guy's cool,
interesting? Like,
He's-
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because like,
I know.
it's like, as a producer and everything, like, don't worry, like, I respect everything that he's done in the industry.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he himself is a cool guy. Yeah. And like, I don't know, I'd probably see him as like, give me dad advice kind of thing, rather than, oh mate, like,
but
let's
could that-
talk, you know
but
what I
could
mean?
that
Like,
person not be cool? The dad advice guy. Could that person not be cool?
I don't know, man.
So
It,
then
like,
what-
the weird thing is that like,
There can't be an
I-
age limit to what coolness is. I
don't
just
think there is.
I
no,
can't think
but
there
not
is.
age limit, but I think it's like what Ed said. It's like that childish creativity, perception, you know, like youthful within, like that kind of thing, right? I don't know what it is, man, but like, I think it has to stay. It's like some kind of flame, and it just has to keep burning. And once it's gone, it's gone. Because
Right.
I feel like when you lose it, like,
What, you don't think you can get it back? After?
I don't think
I
so.
think you can.
I think like, I know.
I don't know. I get what you're saying though, because
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I don't think Eminem has a chance of getting back to.
Like, I think
what he
once
got
you have
back
your
to.
fall from grace, I really feel like once you have like a legitimate fall from grace, right, mate? Like What are you gonna do?
Bro, I'm
Well, you fall from grace in terms of publicly.
Yeah, public, because that's what Eminem is pretty
Because then
much
you can't
having.
get back your reputation, you mean?
I think so, because like in a sense, right, the people who are sort of holding on to like
What? Yeah, but I feel like it's not just about reputation. Like you can be cool,
on by yourself.
yeah, and have still an uncool
But that
reputation.
kind of goes back to what we're saying as well, then, isn't it? It's because the kind of people that we've been talking about who are cool are like the big names, the people that everyone knows.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't. I mean, because
But that's maybe that's because part of being
Yeah.
cool is actualizing and doing that. You develop a talent, so then you become successful. Maybe that's part of what it
maybe,
is.
yeah, like maybe, yeah. But you know what I'm kind of also thinking about? It's like, okay, I want to think of it like this. Like, we're talking in a room. We know certain people. We might know like mutual people who are cool, right?
Yeah.
But like, if you're talking to the audience, right,
Yeah.
and you're thinking about who the audience might also perceive as cool,
Yeah.
right? They might be like maybe nodding at like a person like, I don't know, Andre 3000,
Yeah.
right? But like the fact that we have to point to those people, I think says a lot about also like coolness itself. Because like how can we have like a mutual conversation with a lot of people that we don't know, right?
Mm.
Without them also being able to acknowledge like, yeah, Andre is pretty cool, and Eminem might not be as cool as he used to be. I think like that celebrity vibe still. I feel like in a sense like being celebrity and being cool, there's some kind of interplay going on there.
I mean, celebrities are just the only like.
No, I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't think there is? I think like that popularity though.
No,
maybe not
is
celebrity.
interplay. There is interplay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Interplay
it's
how though?
interplay because cool people get more pictures taken of them, so you see more and you think they're cooler. But like not as in it's necessary. Like not as in it's necessary to be famous.
Yeah.
To be cool. Like I think you can just be cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessary, but I think like in a sense like I just mean as like if there was a way of quantifying it, right? I feel like the fact that we point to those people is that it says something about where they stand in terms of like the towering heights of society, like in terms of the culture.
Do you think most celebrities are cool?
I feel like they have to have something about them to be celebrity.
I think maybe like before. Nowadays, no. Nowadays anyone.
No, but they
anyone
still
can
do,
be
man.
celebrity.
Maybe they have to be able to be found cool by certain people.
Yeah, or agreeable, or whatever you want to call
There's
it.
like
Yeah,
there's like
yeah.
some
All
people
over
who are
it.
just unequivocally just corny and just
Like
not
who,
cool.
like who?
You made me start beef on the first episode.
Mate, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like,
Okay, wait. Let me think. It's probably just go on like DJ Academic's page. Everyone he posts is just not cool. Everyone.
Like-
he
like-
posts.
No, just because I don't follow the page.
Yeah,
Okay,
same.
well, let me go on his. Let me
I
go
don't
on
think
his
it's
page.
internet.
You guys talk amongst yourself.
Classroom setup, you know?
I would go find someone who's just unequivocally just not cool.
Okay, Ed.
And the people that find these people cool are not cool either. That's my point.
But you remember
know
like
what I
what
mean?
I started off with?
But that's what I mean. They're still marketable to those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That they have an audience.
They are like
but
almost in
cool-
a lane and you don't understand the lane.
But coolness cannot
Maybe
come.
you do understand the lane. That's why it's not cool.
Let me find someone. Let me find someone.
Well, like you understand.
Like you see through it. Like I know why you think this guy's cool and I still
Wait,
think that's
so
not cool.
then
I think your
then
reason for thinking-
Aberrose is unequivocally just not cool at all.
I don't know about
I
that.
she's not
don't
cool.
I don't
I don't know
don't
about
think like
What do you mean you
I've,
don't?
I've only seen her like I've maybe watched 1 or 2 interviews ever. One of them was on the Eric Andre show,
Right.
and I thought she was very cool after watching that. I was like, damn, like she's.
but like in a
she's
sense
nice.
like Amber Rose is more like a
You
sex
just think
symbol.
you just
No, I
think
just thought
she's
she's buff. Like
you do. You just think she's buff and that's it.
that's not the reason.
Yes, it is.
No, but like in a sense though, like that's also another thing as well. It's like, is she cool or is she like more of a sex symbol? Like
Well, no, but that's the point. Like, I knew that she was. Like, I knew how she looked before I saw the Eric Andre thing. The interview with Eric Andre. Well, after that, I was like, rah. After hearing her speak,
Yeah.
and hearing her manner and attitude and whatnot, I was like, okay, she's cooler than I expected.
actually, I mean like I would kind of agree.
Have you
With
seen
Ed.
the-
I'm more
I haven't
inclined
seen
to
it. I
agree
wanna
with
watch
Ed
it.
on
I
this,
wanna
yeah.
watch it.
Like I feel like Amber Rose is to an extent cool. But I don't really.
Maybe not
No.
Aberrose. Because Aberrose does have like a big following and
Yeah, but then you're talking about following, which is going back to my point about people giving you coolness.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to, like, my Instagram isn't learning. I'm trying to find
Okay,
someone who's
okay,
just, like,
name
not
one
cool.
person who's super famous, right, and is not cool.
So I'm trying to think of someone.
I can't think about it, but I'm sure there is someone out there.
Like, I feel like
What about
I knew you were gonna do it.
no, I remember I asked you. Yeah, him.
who?
I
I've
fully
got
forgot
his
his
name.
name.
Vic Mensa is not cool. I used to think Vic Mensa was like one of the cool. Like, I really held up Vic Mensa to like high regard, but now he's not cool.
Why is he not cool because of what he's doing now?
Yeah,
But-
just like in the last
Yeah, but
last
like,
year or
but
so. he's
that
just been,
that
like-
again, like
Since
that in a
since
sense.
since he got signed to Rock Nation, he's not been cool at all.
But I feel
Since he
like
stopped
I
talking.
feel like you're looking at his fall from grace. Like
Nah,
in a
'cause-
sense, because I thought Vic Mensa was cool before as well.
But he was never like the guy.
Yeah,
He's
but he
always
was kind of
kinda-
like he was weird and like in his own lane, like he was just quirky and like.
he's
you
still
know.
quirky, but his quirkiness is just
Yeah,
corny now.
but he's like doing a whole bunch of like random shit, like he's talking about joining
That's what
a
I'm
gang
saying.
and
He's
everything
not
like
cool.
that. Like,
And everyone is hating on him now because I don't know if it's because he's not cool, but no one likes him anymore.
but I think it's because of some of the stuff that he's talking
What
about
did
though.
he started.
Something with to do with X.
It was to do with X, innit?
Yeah,
Yeah. So after that, no one's gonna like you, obviously, innit? Like,
Yeah,
I suppose. I'm trying to find someone else.
rule of thumb: never say anything bad about X. Rule of
Yeah,
thumb.
that.
If you're ever in the public sphere,
Lil
never
Pump,
say it.
Lil Pump,
I wouldn't anyway.
Lil Pump,
You don't think Lil Pump's cool?
Lil Pump is corny as fuck.
I'm not mad at Lil Pump.
Huh?
I'm not mad at Lil Pump.
Yeah, you actually, I think you like Lil Pump, man.
When I've never listened to a Lil Pump song in my life. Maybe once or twice. But
I forgot, what's that track that like super
the
like?
famous one was Gucci Gang.
Yeah, Gucci Gang.
I listened to that for the
yeah,
first
yeah.
time like a month ago. And that shit
Yeah,
came out,
same.
like, a year ago.
What you think?
No,
Lil
but-
Pump is? You think Lil Pump is cool?
I'm not
But
mad at him.
there
I don't think
are
the
people
song's
who
cool,
think
like-
that Lil
But
Pump is cool.
To be honest, I do think it's cool.
Ed, what has happened to you, man?
Especially after you see the Kanye, the performance he had with Kanye.
You
Oh,
thought that
yeah,
was cool.
shit.
That was tight.
shit.
That was hilarious. That shit was funny as
Yeah,
fuck.
Ed, you've
That's alright,
changed,
that's
man.
But
Ed, you
not even the
changed.
video.
But
like,
you
the
know what? In a
performance.
weird way, I kind
That
of
was-
The
like.
performance.
that
They
was-
were in like a bottle or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that shit was
was
so
hilarious.
corny, bro.
That was hilarious. I thought that was great.
But you know what? I kind of find this funny though, because in a sense, like I used to not like Lil Pump, right? But then I was like, maybe this guy is actually like, pretty cool, and maybe I just don't get it. And then I think that's the whole thing about youth as well. You know, like I'm getting older now, so like I kind of see like all these young people liking certain artists, and I'm like, why the fuck do you like this artist, right? But then in a sense, I'm like, yo, is the culture moving, and I'm not moving with the culture, in a sense.
That might be the case.
Maybe, or maybe the culture's
Yeah,
always
the-
been mad, naive, and stupid, and just realizing it now.
that's a possibility, though.
But
No?
even though that may be the case about Lil Pump, I'm still not mad. At
So
him.
what you're saying is that
Like,
we're
he's
disillusioned.
making his money. Like,
No, but you
I'm
can
not
make
mad at Lil
you
Pump,
can.
like-
I'm not
Yeah.
mad at him. I'm not
Like,
mad at him
that's
either.
not
living his life.
I'm not
He's
mad at
making
him
money,
either.
like-
I wouldn't even have brought him up unless you guys told me to think someone famous who wasn't
yeah.
cool. Like I'm not mad at anyone for doing what they gotta do, but he's just not cool. He's a famous person who's just not cool.
I don't agree.
He's not
I
cool.
think he's calm. I think he's
You think he's cool? You tell me now, Ed. Make me judge you. Tell me that Lil Pump is cool.
I can't say whether he's cool or not.
Cool, but
he's
cool.
not. He's not uncool. He's not corny.
He's not corny, yeah.
He's not cool. I don't look at
Like
him
you
like,
can't
this
call
guy's
him corny either.
Okay, maybe not corny, but he's not.
So he's some
Like,
level of
you
cool
can't,
though,
you
isn't
can't,
he?
You can't go from Pharrell and Andre to talk about Lil Pump.
Why
And
not?
I'm not
I was
saying.
talking about Kanye as well. and they
Yeah,
were
like-
siding
No,
against
but,
shit.
but Kanye has done.
Wait, do you
things
think
in the
Kanye is
past.
cool?
If anyone's gonna be, it's gonna be Kanye. I think. Yeah. I don't know though. I'm not sure. Man.
Do you
I'm
think
not
that
sure. I'm
Kanye
not sure.
is the father of this generation?
Yes,
Like,
him,
In a way,
and
yeah.
There's loads of fathers.
yeah. There's a
No, but I feel like he kind of really did change the way sound was perceived and
there's-
what you could do with sound.
I've been thinking about this as well. I think there's a few people. I think Kanye is one of them. I think Lil Wayne is one of them.
Yeah.
I also think Drake. I think Drake is one of them too.
Yeah.
Drake
But I
is-
feel like in a weird way, like I feel like Toronto artists are kind of like same-ish, in my personal
Drake
opinion.
is not
Yeah.
cool.
Drake
That's
isn't
someone who's
cool.
not cool.
Wait, you don't
There
think
go.
Drake's cool?
I'm putting it on the table. There you go.
You've had beef with Drake like for a while.
No beef, whatever. But I'm just saying that I don't. Usually, if I see him, like it's corny. Like it makes me cringe a bit.
Drake,
If I see him doing anything.
really?
Usually, like
Why?
most of the time, yeah.
Is it because he's sensitive?
No. Like Cardi's sensitive, but he's the coolest. That's
Yeah,
why
but
the coolest.
Cardi's sensitive. Like he's very introspective.
Like for example, did you see McGregor and the Khabib?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, weighing or something, and Drake was there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was like even he gave daps to McGregor.
How is that?
I just saw his head moving along the screen, and it was like.
Let me
Why do you think you have an
corny.
apathy towards Drake? Like you don't just like you just.
Let me just say it. This is why I wanted you on this podcast, because you find like you find stories in like the most trivial shit, and like if anyone else did it, I'd be like, why are you like overthinking the dap?
Yeah.
But when you say it, I start to think to myself, like maybe there was something. Like what is it?
I can't just. It was just like, why are you there? Like he was there with the Irish flag on, and he had like the fresh trim and that, like the fade and that, and he walked across and dapped up McGregor and then stood in the corner. It was like,
But
this
loads
is
of
so like, I don't know why it's just corny.
but loads of celebrities do that.
Yeah.
Bro. Loads of celebrities do it.
Yeah, but Drake's like trying to.
But do you feel like
I don't know
maybe
what it
Drake's
is.
just not very
It's not even a
good?
rational thing. It's not
Yeah.
a rational thing.
Right.
It just feels corny. Like.
You just don't like him.
No, I don't know him, innit? I don't know the guy like nothing. I'm just saying when I see him, I feel a certain way, and that way is like this person's corny.
It's interesting because when I see Drake, I see like there's only a few celebrities I get this feeling with. But when I see Drake, like even a picture of him, I think that is a star. Like that's kind of like he's so inaccessible. Like in an era of social media where you could just talk to your favorite artist.
Yeah.
I feel like Drake still has that old kind of star quality about him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think. When I look at him, I see like I don't see what you see. I don't know what he did to you, but
He didn't do nothing.
yeah, I wouldn't say Drake is uncool.
But you know what? I feel like
I thought early Drake, I would have said that he was cool.
yeah.
When I first started hearing about him back in the day.
Really, because I think he's become cooler than he used to be.
Yeah, true.
Like Drake without a beard looked very, very, very corny.
No, to me,
Once he got a beard and a fresh trim, he just became like a very cool person. To me.
No, like that's the thing. Well, for me, after the beard and the hair, it became worse.
Really?
Like earlier he was. I thought he was cooler.
Like,
I wouldn't have
But
said this
isn't that
about early
because
Drake.
like okay, maybe like let's put it like this, right? The
I respect
image,
the hustle,
the
but-
image like that like Drake had, right, was like significantly changed to a point where like you no longer recognize Drake as the person that you used to know. Like the Drake of the past.
Not really. I was never that.
You know, like
I
when
never
people
followed him like
but,
that.
But you
to
know,
have, like,
but you
a
know what
picture.
people like when like they're
Understand
like,
that he
oh,
progressed.
I miss the old whatever, I miss the old this, I miss the old that.
yeah.
Is there like actually like again
No,
going back
no,
to it, like do you think like there may be like narratives that we make about certain people?
I don't think so. Because I never followed his career like that, and I understand that he progressed and grew and whatnot.
But you
as a
wouldn't have
person.
to though. But you still created like some kind of perception of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that perception's obviously changed, right? Because if you did like him before, I mean, to him, he's still
but
Drake.
irrespective of whether I like
Yeah.
him, I wouldn't have felt like he was corny back then.
Yeah,
That's all I mean.
I think like, but I mean, you know, like
It
not
wouldn't
like,
have struck me like
yeah,
that's-
like, but in a sense, what I'm just trying to say is that to Drake himself, right? He probably feels like he's exactly the same person, and nothing has changed.
I
Right?
doubt it.
Nah, yeah, I was about to say. I think.
You don't think so?
No, I
But-
think.
but,
he,
like,
But do you ever really
It's-
feel like you've changed as a person?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
really?
I feel like I feel the change in myself. Like when I see like pictures of me in like first year or whatever, I see I feel the change. I see it. And yeah, it's like a real like it's a feeling that you feel yourself. And
But at
think,
which point can you say that change happened though?
I mean, I don't know if we can like pinpoint the change, but like even when Drake raps, like he talks about it. He says, "Oh, I'm the man now." Like you can hear it in his voice, like that he feels that way. And it's true. He is. Like, there's no one above him. He is the man, essentially. He might still be corny. You could be corny and the man, which I don't think he is. Trey, he said it, not me.
You're just saving your PR.
Fam, I'm trying to be. Yeah, let me not give my plan away, anyways. But, yeah, I got to kiss up to a certain extent.
Oh, swear.
No. I'm joking, man. That's not gonna be me. You know what?
Yeah.
Back in first year when I first met you, we always used to say that we were gonna like change the world. I'm still 100% on that.
Yeah.
But
No,
I don't know. Maybe you have to like play the game to a certain extent.
But like in a funny way, like how could you change the world if you don't like, you know, interact within the world? Like you can't
that's what
create
I'm saying.
like
you can't.
Yeah,
create like another, you know.
Yeah.
But that's different to playing a game, though, isn't it?
Not.
But the game is the world, like, you know, it's how seeing things for what they are rather than, because again, remember I was talking about being a liberal, right? The other side is being a realist. Being a realist is all about seeing the world as it is, right? And making sense and, you know, operating within those limitations, right? To do what you want, right?
But the as it is, as the world is debatable. If you want to talk,
But like,
if you want to talk in terms of limitations.
But let's just say, like, taking stock, for example, and just saying, like, right now, this is what is there.
Yeah.
Like, ASAP, the crew, these guys, this is how they interact, blah, 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 you know, like, if you want to be something, you kind of need to go down these, like, certain paths. Like, that would be seen it as it is. Rather than saying, I'm just going to make my own path.
It wouldn't be seen as it is because you could just make your own path.
You
and
could.
that would be how it is.
But
so it's like that's an option to you. So seeing it how
Mm.
it is with, you would have to see that that's an option as well.
But I think it's just also, again, like likeliness of success, isn't it? It's just like, is it
like pragmatism. Isn't it?
Yeah, there's a certain level of pragmatism, isn't it? Like if you
and values, it depends what you value. Like if you're out here.
Yeah, like do you value over
career,
ideals over
Yeah.
you know, real things like.
But ideals are real because they're lived out every day.
That's a very deep metaphysical
No,
debate.
but
Wait, sorry, what did you say?
I said ideals are real because they're lived out every day. Like we have an ideal that we shouldn't kill each other or whatnot when we walk down the
Yeah,
street.
but some people like live life where they, you know, they go against that ideal. So it's not.
Yeah,
like
but
it's
that's
a
what I'm saying. Like,
universal ideal.
but someone had the ideal where it's like people shouldn't kill each other, and now that's what's accepted. So it's real now.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to go into a deep metaphysical debate about ideals,
Yeah.
especially towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I think
we need to start winding down.
Yeah. So,
I have one question before we go.
On. Yeah.
Can things be cool and people not be cool? So can the things around a person be cool, right?
Right.
And they not be cool, but you know,
the things around them. Like,
yeah, like what would that be like? You know, like let's just say, for example, you got a shit ton of money, right? And let's just say, like when I say things, I even mean like other people, right?
Right.
Like you're the kind of person who can get other cool people around you, but you're not cool, right? You aren't cool, but you can get cool people around you. You've got cool shit. You've got a cool house.
Yes.
All that.
Yeah, I do.
What then happens to you? Do you then become cool?
Become Drake.
Ed, oh my god.
Saying, man.
Yo, you have savage Drake today.
No, not even.
First podcast.
Yeah, man. Edge sending out smoke on the first podcast, man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, Alan, what are you gonna say, man?
No, I was gonna say I do think because we have people who, like, I'm thinking of someone as we're talking about this. I'm thinking of someone now who kind of saw a group of people that they wanted to be like, but they weren't that yet. But they just they like slid into that group, and they were just kind of hoping to become that person by association.
Yeah.
You know, so I do think, like, I would say that person who did that wasn't cool, at least not to begin with, but
Are they cool now though?
they're getting there.
So you can become cool by association then. It's some kind.
But they have to become cool. Like they have to go from who they are has to change.
Yeah.
They can't remain.
So you can pass
that
on
person.
coolness.
You have to act, like it's like
I don't-
teaching game.
it's
Like you
such
can
a-
learn game.
Yeah, it's like what you said.
But
yeah.
Because
you can't just take an uncool person
but
and
there's
put
a-
them next to cool people.
Yeah, I mean, that's
But there's a certain,
it's never gonna make them cool.
there's
Yeah,
a
they have
certain
to.
something that they have to have in the first place. Like this person that I'm talking about. Do you guys probably know who I'm talking about, right?
I don't know. I probably know them. But...
She'll be here next week.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't think
That's right.
there was a certain something that she didn't have. No, there was a certain something that she did have
Yeah.
when I first met her.
Yeah.
But for some reason she just weren't using it. Then she kind of slid into this group of cool people,
yeah.
and she was kind of taught in a way how to manifest what she already had, like in the first place.
Yeah.
But we didn't like totally give her like thing. This sounds so pretentious, like teaching someone how to be cool. But you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like she didn't really know how to be herself until she got around like this group of cool people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in a way, yes, you can be uncool, but be surrounded by cool things.
And then you become cool.
Yeah, you become cool, but you have to have.
Sorry, no, go on.
Yeah, but there's a certain type of self-awareness that you have to have in the first place to become cool, I think. I did actually want to talk about self-awareness, but I don't know if we have time.
I think everyone has it. I think anyone can become cool. I disagree with you.
Everyone can become cool.
Yeah, but they have to go through a process.
I don't know, because I'm thinking about someone now that no matter what, they're just a lost cause. I'm thinking about someone that I've spoken to who is just like there's just no chance for you. There's just no chance. And thinking about this person just makes me laugh, and it's such a sad thing. And I'm not even talking about it's a lost cause for them to become cool, but even to get that initial ingredient of self-awareness,
Yeah.
they can't. This person just can't achieve that for some reason. I don't know why, but they just can't. Yeah. Peak for them, innit? But I don't know. Sometimes I think that it might be better to live in that realm of not being self-aware, and we'll talk about that on the next podcast. I didn't want to talk about it on this one, but I've been thinking about self-awareness quite a lot. But tune in next week for the 3 p.m. podcast, 3 p.m. talk, or whatever. But until then, do you guys want to plug anything?
Nope.
Nah, we ain't got nothing. Plug.
I'm gonna put your Instagram in it, except you because you want to keep a low profile. You know what I might do? I might just put an emoji over his face, like for the whole time.
Yeah, you know what?
What emoji do you want, or just a picture? I'll put a picture of Drake. I'll put Drake's face. I want to put Drake's face.
Yo, that is troll.
Drake without the beard as well.